So in my line of work, I find myself watching a lot of CS:GO demos, and this is because it's just a major component of the research that I do to keep my knowledge up when it comes to being able to create content or do work as an analyst and a commentator in CS:GO. And so pretty much after every major LAN tournament comes to a close, I go back and watch the demos of all the games I didn't get to catch live so that I can kind of just break down how the teams and players are approaching the game. Have they made any adjustments or changes lately? Are they kind of keeping the same strategy and tactics that they've always had and just kind of keeping things the same? And I use this information to create content, such as some of the vlogs you see me do when I'm breaking down teams or players, or when I'm writing articles, or just in case I ever get called up to do an event as an analyst or something like that. So it's just a big part of my daily routine is to go through CS:GO demos. And of course, that's not just me. I mean, pretty much every commentator and analyst you can think of probably spends a good amount of time preparing for events by going through demos to kind of just get a feel for how the teams are playing, unless they've been doing a lot of events in a row and they already have a pretty good feel. But maybe they want to go back and look at something. So watching demos is certainly something that could come up. And as of course, professional teams and players would use demos to kind of scout their opponents or to try to review their own game and maybe find mistakes that they need to patch up. And this doesn't even just, you know, only occur at the professional level of CSGO. I'm sure there are plenty of amateur players who are aspiring to be pros who use demos to try to maybe see what other teams are doing so that they can kind of mock that and add that to their own game. Or maybe they want to look at their own mistakes and try to improve their game. Or even if they're not even trying to be competitive, maybe you're just trying to get that next rank in matchmaking, right? And so you decide to go look at some demos of your favorite pro team or your favorite player. Maybe you're a lurker, so you're going to go watch your favorite lurker and see, how they play certain positions and such. And it just, demo viewing is a big part of CSGO. And I'm not even going to venture a guess at what percentage of people actually watch demos. Maybe I would even overestimate. Maybe it is only really confined to the top. And maybe what I'm thinking of doesn't actually occur with, just matchmaking or casual fans. But the point is that demo viewing is something that is important for many of us, and I feel it's one of the few things that has pretty much remained unchanged in the Counter-Strike series. The demo UI and stuff that we use now in CSGO is very similar to what I would do in Counter-Strike Source or what you had in CS 1.6. It's almost as if we just never got that upgrade, when it came to the demo viewing experience in CSGO as compared to maybe some other different aspects of the game. And don't get me wrong, there are certain things in the game that I think take huge priority when it comes to updating it and fixing it and optimizing it than the demo viewing experience. But I just feel like there's some simple things that could be added to make it better. And so this video is really just looking at the basics. I think I might do another video about advanced features, but this is just some basic things I feel that we need to have that blows my mind that we don't. It almost feels like we're still using some old CD player from the early 1990s or something like that, rather than, the MP3 players that we have today. Just imagine for a moment if you never got that upgrade in how you enjoy or listen to music, or the controls that you use to get through the music that you have in your database, whether it be on your phone or some type of MP3 player or just even on your computer or what have you. It's almost as if we just never had that leap in technology when it came to the CSGO demo viewing experience. And so some basic examples of this are, one, just the stability of using it. I can't tell you how many times I'm trying to watch a demo and I try to roll back to a previous round and the whole thing just crashes. It just freezes, it locks up. I have no choice but to just restart my entire game. Sometimes I have to do the whole Control-Alt-Delete experience to get out of the game and end the process, and then, it's just a hassle. And maybe this could be an error with my game, but I'm sure people do still experience this, that we still have these crashing issues just trying to load a demo or trying to get to a certain round on a demo. God forbid you try to skip too many rounds too fast, you just slow the whole thing down, you get a huge loading time, and at some points it just completely freezes. And so, I mean, you're always going to have crashing issues. You can never be 100% flawless on that, but I just feel like it still happens way too much when trying to view demos. I think that the loading times and the capability of crashing on the demo UI is just at too high of a level for where we're at right now in Counter-Strike. It should almost work seamlessly the majority of the time rather than having issues. And it's not even just having to restart my game because the demo UI crashes. It's also just certain features won't work, and the only way I can get it to work is by reloading the whole demo over again, and sometimes that doesn't work and I do just have to restart my game. So for instance, if I want to bring up the giant map overlay, which I think default is the control key on your keyboard to just get a big overlay of the map, which I use quite a lot when I'm watching a demo one time through, is to just kind of get an idea of what the opening formation of the team is, what does their default look like. You know, when I'm watching a demo to understand someone's approach to the game, I'm not necessarily so worried about what a kill looked like. You know, I don't really need to see the flashy kill or see just how someone hit a crazy shot. I want to see how the team responds to a certain kill, or, you know, what is this player doing over here while the rest of his team is working this other area of the map. And so having the giant map overlay is a great way to kind of assess that and learn about that. And so, you know, bringing up the control, hitting the control key to bring that up is something I do quite a lot. And sometimes it just doesn't work, and I have no choice but to restart the entire game to get it to work. And so it's just really frustrating. And then sometimes I lose my cursor for whatever reason when I'm trying to go back to the demo UI to click, you know, the next round or something like that. And so I literally have to bring back up the giant map overlay just to see the cursor again, and it just becomes a huge mess when the cursor goes missing randomly, or I can't pull something up. I have to restart the whole game. So again, at the very base level, it's just some stability things that need to be fixed. Just basic functions that need to just work. So basically what we already have needs to work better, and now I'm about to tell you about things that need to be added. And again, this is just basic stuff. Like I said, I might do something about maybe more advanced or cool things I think could be added, but this is just real basic stuff. So the biggest thing, this is probably the biggest thing I'll mention in this video, and everyone knows it, and it's actually ridiculous to me it doesn't exist, but why in the heck can we not rewind and around? We can go super, you know, fast forward, we can go 100%. They have preset buttons to go double the speed or 4 times the speed, and you can drag the slider all the way up to 1,000% if you'd like to fly through something, which is especially useful if there's like a tactical timeout and you want to fast forward through that or something, or you want to get to a certain point in the round. But there's no way to go back without loading the previous round, which again is like using an old wonky CD player where I have to hit the previous button like 2 or 3 times to finally get it to actually go back to the previous round. So first of all, there should be a button that I can click one time and I can easily get to the previous round without having to sit here and hit this button over and over again. Like, have a separate button to skip back to the beginning of the current round, and then another separate button to get back to the previous round with one click. I mean, this is just simple stuff, and it blows my mind we don't have it. Then on top of that, you should be able to simply rewind in the current round that you're watching. So if you saw something, you shouldn't have to skip to the very beginning of the round. You shouldn't have to go back to the previous round and work your way back forward. You should just be able to drag a slider similar to what you do to fast forward to actually just rewind backwards and be able to get back to a certain point in the round that you just saw a couple of seconds ago. So these are just some really basic functions that just should be there. And another thing that I think should be added to the demo UI is, of course, there is the buttons to go from death to death, so you can go to the next death, the previous death, but it would be really cool if there was like a bottom portion, like just added a whole new section to the demo UI that drops down, that gives you a timeline of the current round that you are watching, and it clearly marks every single kill in the round, and you can simply click on it, and it'll bring you to just maybe a second or so before that kill happens so that you can just quickly skip between frags. This is something that I've already seen on third-party software. So if you've ever seen Yanko do his videos on his YouTube where he's talking about, you know, specific CSGO terminology or particular tactics that a team runs, which I know you've seen him do the weatherman stuff at live events, but some of you may have known that he has a YouTube channel where he kind of looks at some different things, and he uses a third-party software called Stats Helix, and you may have seen this before because I know it's even been embedded on some websites where you can watch games live on it. But I know it's something I've seen Yanko do YouTube content with, and it has this, you know, in the bottom it has kind of like this timeline thing where you can actually click to each kill that you want to watch, and you could also easily navigate between rounds. I would love to just see the demo UI almost kind of mimic what Stats Helix has been able to accomplish. You know, maybe not exactly the same, obviously. I'd like to see third-party people be able to succeed, but there's some basic functionality that exists on Stats Helix that doesn't exist in the in-game in-game demo UI, which to me is baffling. And this is one of them, is just having a nice round timeline. Also on Stats Helix, the reason why it's so great is because you can easily get to previous rounds and you can easily kind of go backwards, which is something you can't do in CSGO. So just kind of re-emphasizing the fact that third-party programs have been able to find functionality that Valve themselves have not been able to implement in a demo UI that's been pretty much the same since the conception of Counter-Strike, I feel like, or at least, you know, it's remained relatively unchanged. I'm sure there's been some tweaks, a couple of buttons added, a couple little things here or there, but the whole experience still feels about the same, and I think it needs to be upgraded. And these are just some basic things. Now, next, what I want to talk about kind of trickles into the map overlay. So this is not just demo specific, but it's also just the map overlay in general. But it does include demos because, again, you know, personally, I like to bring up the giant map overlay a lot when I'm reviewing demos. And I will say that there are some cool things that have happened with the map overlay, though I can't necessarily remember offhand and pinpoint exactly when it happened. But the point is if someone throws a smoke grenade, you can clearly see that smoke on the giant map overlay. It clearly depicts where the smoke grenade is on the map, and it's great to be able to see that. It really helps me understand what smokes are being thrown and how they're being used and how effective they are. You also do get to see flashes explode on the map overlay, and you get a notification if that player is blind. I believe like a little eyeball or something like that covers up the player's dot on the map overlay to signify that they have in fact been affected by the flashbang, and so they're probably blind, or at least partially blind. It would be cool if they could even get more specific with that notifier and have separate ones for if someone's fully blind or if someone's partially blind, but at least there is some type of, you know, thing there that lets you know that that player has somewhat at least been affected by the flashbang. You can also see HE grenade explosions on the map overlay now. It's just kind of like a flash of orange. I think it'd be cooler if it was a little bit longer standing and was easier to pick out. And it would also be cool if you could actually get some type of notification that a player has actually been hit by it when you're looking at the giant map overlay. So maybe their little dot, which is usually blue or orange, depending on what side of the map they're on, maybe it just glows red if they've been hit by the grenade or something like that. That way you know that they've been hit by it. And then finally, we've talked about how you can see HEs, you can see flashbangs, you can see smokes, but guess what? You can't see Molotovs or incendiary grenades. So if those Molotovs or incendiaries have been thrown, you actually can't see on the map overlay where those are located, but you can on a third-party software like Stats Helix, which also does a great job of illustrating how grenades work. And trust me, this is not some paid ad from Stats Helix. I don't even have access to that software. I've never even used it before. I've just seen it on videos, and it looks really neat. And I'm just saying that some of these features should, I think, just be in CSGO. And this whole Molotov incendiary grenade thing should absolutely be in CSGO. I feel like it's a huge oversight that it's not. I mean, we can see where smokes are. We can see where flashes are. Why can't we see where Molotovs and incendiaries are? Again, it's so cool to be able to see that because, like I said earlier, when it came to smoke grenades, I can see where things are located and how they affect the game, how they're being used to accomplish a certain goal. And Molotovs serve that same purpose. They're used to flush people out or isolate players, or it's just part of a tactic. You know, it could be that these Molotovs have just a very huge impact on how the round unfolds. I mean, there's a lots of teams that are able to find great uses for Molotovs. Nip on Cash has really illustrated that. You know, people throwing on top the tree on cobblestone. I mean, there's so many different important Molotovs that it will be great to just be able to see it on the fly when I have the map overlay up, rather than having to get out of it and then search for where it is when I hear it and things like that. So that's just like kind of another basic thing that needs to be added, I believe. And so I'm going to just go ahead and cut the video here. There's probably a bunch of other things I could talk about, such as just implementing better stats, or maybe having better like nade trajectories or something like that without having to turn those on, that you can kind of just see where flashbangs actually landed, because it just kind of explodes and then it's gone. You don't really know exactly where it was. So I mean, I could think of some different things to probably add, but again, I think I'll save that for a video I might do in the future about like advanced features I'd like to see on the map overlay or in the demo UI. But these are just some very basic things. The fact that we can see smokes but we can't see incendiaries, to me, is just oversight that needs to be patched up. The fact that we can't rewind around or easily get to a previous round in a demo, to me, is just, again, how has that not been upgraded and implemented is beyond me. And then just basic stability. So the point is that I watch a lot of demos, and maybe you do too, but the whole process can be so frustrating right now because there's so many basic features that aren't there and the stability is not there. So these definitely need to be addressed. So I'll just leave it at that. Please follow and subscribe for more content. Thanks a lot.